FutureSkills Prime, transforming India's talent story.
It is impossible to know what the future holds for us, but learning from the past and adapting in the present is sure to help you stay ready and relevant in the future. As for the advancements of today, ranging from artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and big data analytics to cybersecurity, robotic process automation, and Internet of Things, all of these are shaping up to be future of industries, a future that requires skills. This is where FutureSkills of Nasscom comes into play. FutureSkills is an industry-driven learning ecosystem that aims at transforming the nation to be future-ready with all the required skills and attributes. The platform was launched in 2018 by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was created to help the IT industry reskill its workforce. But it was quickly very clear that with every industry going through digital transformation, these skills would be crucial for them too. This is how FutureSkills Prime was born, a digital skilling platform for all Indian citizens over the age of 18.
FutureSkills Prime equips the Indian citizens with emerging technologies to help them remain relevant for the future. With learner-friendly features, the platform is catered to propel your professional growth. It brings together industry experts to ensure that you learn from the best. Meticulously curated content to facilitate easy learning. And the transition from digital fluency to certification is extremely smooth. A wide gamut of courses offered so that you get to choose what works the best for you.
FutureSkills Prime have transformed the way nation upskills. Building a skilling ecosystem to this scale with this level of adoption is a massive achievement in itself. And as the future gets a step closer to a fully digital one, preparing for it with relevant skills is the right step for employees across the nation. With affordability and credibility as its core values, we strive to build India's digital talent stack. And we plan on delivering on this promise by integrating innovative approaches and deep expertise to deliver tangible and sustainable results, preparing the nation today for tomorrow.
Our journey at FutureSkills Prime has been one of constant growth. Now it's your turn to be a part. Download the FutureSkills Prime app now to scale new professional heights.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the FutureSkills Prime Bootcamp Data to Dashboard, Driving Business Decisions. During the session, you may share your questions in the Q&A functionality. My name is Amrita from FutureSkills Prime, the National Digital Skilling Platform, which is a joint initiative of Ministry of Information Technology and Electronics and Nasscom. As technological interventions are transforming the business landscape, data has become the fuel for the enterprises today. So, without further delay, let us dive into the world of data analytics in this bootcamp with Mr. Adeeb Mohammed, Solutions Consultant, TechFully. Adeeb is an AI/ML blockchain expert who hails from South India and has been working with several MNCs, product companies, and also has co-founded several technological startups. Over to you, Adeeb.
Thank you, Amrita, for the introduction. Hey, everyone. Hope I'm audible. I can see a lot of questions on the questions, Q&As and everything. So if I'm audible, just say an S. That would be really helpful for me.
Yes, yes, Adeep, we can hear you very well. Thank you.
All right, that's great. And so just want to introduce, I think, thank you for the brief introduction, Amrita. I know I'll go through the slides and probably take it over. Just want to set a context of what we're going to learn and all. So today we are actually going to learn how you can convert data information into very intuitively understandable format that is like a dashboard, right? A dashboard kind of a UI. So that's what we're going to take. We are going to deep dive into it. But before going into that, I just want to share the screen and want to take you through all the basics, so you're not getting overwhelmed. I want to make this session a very interactive session. And I might be asking a lot of questions in between, and you can use the forum, you can use the chat window to type the answers as in when I ask the questions. That's fine, just say hi or something like that, okay? So let's keep it live. I want this session to be live, and I want to make it purely interactive. I can see a lot of okays and things. Perfect, let's go ahead. I'm just trying to share the screen now. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let me share the screen. So if you can see the screen, just say yes.
Yes, Adeep, we can see the screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, so first of all, thanks to FutureSkills Prime. So everybody who's on the call right now and the meeting. So FutureSkills Prime is something really intuitive. If you want to learn anything that is related to technology, any new technologies, probably you should first head to FutureSkills Prime. And thank you for this opportunity to meet you all and share my experience and knowledge. All right, let's get started. So today we are going to look at how to create a dashboard UI using the tool called Tableau. Right, it's called Tableau, and it's there on the screen right now. And we will also jump into data analytics part and kind of go into the details of it and how to construct and how to expose it and all those things. We will do that, but it's not going to be a complete exercise. It's not going to be a step-by-step tutorial for you to understand Tableau. It's just to give you a high-level idea what you can actually do with this tool and how powerful this is. Right, that's pretty much it. And then I'll try to cover as much as detail as possible. But this is not going to be a tutorial session. Just want to set a context there. Okay. So just want to give a quick introduction about myself as well. I'll not take too much time. I have 11 years of experience in IT. I'm a solution architect. I take consultancy. I do consultancy for a lot of MNCs. I've also been part of startups and all. I'm a tech savvy person. I've led several projects. I've traveled to several countries, and I'm a blockchain expert. A blockchain advisory for several startups as well. And today we are going to talk about Tableau, right? Tableau and data. So most of you know, I know I've seen all the participants list and everything. So I've seen a lot of different demography of people, right? I don't want to jump into Tableau and then show you, and it will be too much overwhelming. I just want to start from the basics. I want to go slow so that you understand, so that you can travel with me on this particular session. Okay, so that's the high level idea. But everybody know what is data, right? Data is not it's not a fancy term. It's a very commonly used word. So I know there are a lot of definitions for data, but you can go ahead and post your definitions of data into the chat. I'll just take a look at it, and if it is interesting, I'll actually give a quick call on that. Okay, but let's look at what is really called as a data, right? Data is there are a lot of definitions. There are no right wrong with any of the definitions for data, but the crux of it is a unit of some kind of information. It's a very raw piece of information, it's a very raw thing that can be translated, and it can be used for any movement or processing. That's all it is. This is a very theoretical definition, but you know what is data, right? For example, data can be yes, right? Yes, no is a data, but does it have context? Does it have information? Does it Does it mean anything? No, unless you have something called information. Let's look at what information is. Now that you know data, let's go into the information. Okay, information is a little bit different, right? It is not data. So some people used to say information, data, they're both the same, but they're not, right? So you can see data is actually an individual piece of raw material. Okay, so you can use that. Okay, you can use that to do any specific operation, but they don't have data themselves doesn't have any meaning. Okay, let's look at the information on the other hand, right? So information is a group of data. Okay, it is a collection of data, but it does have a logical meaning, which means, do you like the session? Yes, no. Okay, your yes, no is the data. Do you like the session is the information. It's a collection of information. So anything that you respond is the information, right? So it's a collection of multiple data, and it has a logical meaning. That is all the theoretical definition of information. There are a lot of other definitions as well. Don't ask me like, no, this is the definition that I've read in the college. This is what I've been taught in some books and all. There are a lot of definitions, but let's look at in our perspective on the data analytics and on the Tableau perspective. This is what it means, right? Data and information. Okay, so let's look at what are the key differences between data and information, right? So you need to know this before going into the actual piece of work. You need to know the difference between them. Okay, we're going to talk about this in detail during this bootcamp. So I want you to really focus on this because this is going to be helpful on your upcoming sessions or upcoming duration. So what is data? So data is also, it doesn't have any dependency. It's a piece of information. Like I said, it's an individual piece of information. It does not depend on any other data, or it is not dependent on any other information. Okay, but information as per se, it is dependent on data, right? I asked this question, do you like this session or not? And it is dependent on the data. So it depends on whether you're saying yes or no. If nobody says yes or no, it doesn't have any relevance. So it is actually dependent. I hope you're getting it, right? So information is dependent on data, whereas data is not dependent on anything else. It's a single unit of information. Okay, let's look at some examples. I told one example, which is, do you like the session? Okay, let's look at some other example. So a simple example, which we can all relate to, is student mark, right? Let's say 50, student mark is 50 out of 100 or 90 out of 100 is a piece of information, right? So which subject out of what he has scored that 50 out of, is it 50 out of 50? Is it 100 out of 100? So all these are the information. So you can't just look at 50 and say whether this is 100 or this is 50 or this is the maximum mark, this is the less mark. You can't compare it, right? You have to have a context. You have to have a collective data that is called information. Okay, so I hope this is giving you clarity between data and information, because we're going to talk about data mining, we're going to talk about data analytics, and you should not get confused with information and data. So that's why I want to take this time. Hope this is all clear. You can say yes or no in the chat. I'll just look at it. Okay, perfect. I'm seeing some responses. Great. So let's move on. Before that, I may not be able to answer all your questions. I'll try to be, as closer as possible to my mic, so that it is a little bit clear. I may not be able to answer all your questions, but you can still go ahead and put it. In between, I can actually look at them, and then if it is interesting, I will call out and then give the answer. All right. So please, everybody who's on the call right now, please pay attention to the screen right now, because that is going to be a question. I'm going to ask a question. Don't worry, it's not going to be difficult at all. It's very simple. I know you guys can do it. You're all smart and everybody. So let's just go into it. Okay. So I'm just going to ask questions. So I'm going to show you the next slide. I'm going to show you a picture, probably in Excel, right? Probably in Excel with some data, and I will ask questions. Okay, so I want you to find the number of times. Okay, the number of times you're going to see the word profit. Okay, it's going to have a lot of columns. Okay, but I want you to find the number of times you saw you see the word profit. Ready? Okay, let's go. All right, so I'm going to give you like 7 seconds. Just calculate how many times you're seeing profit. I'm going to count my hands, okay? All right, did you get it? I know it was difficult, right? So I can see a lot of answers, 7, 3, 4, and all those things, okay? I know it was difficult, right? I did not give you any context. I was just showing some information on the screen, and I was asking a blunt question, just trying to find out profit, right? And you guys have found it. It's fine. There are a lot of answers, but let me give you another chance, okay? Let's try one more time. But I have actually reformatted the data, but let's go into the question now. So now tell me, I'm going to give you only 3 seconds to find out the answer. The answer is 7, right? I know you got it. There are a lot of people, they were on first time. I've seen a lot of different answers, like 3, 4, 5, 6, and all those things. Now I can see a consistent answer. It's all consistent. Okay, so everybody is answering 7. You know what happened here? Any guesses? It was really interesting, right? So it's the same exact image. Just let me just show you one more time. So this was the first image, and this was the second image. This is exactly the same. Okay, so nothing has changed except I've just formatted and I've just highlighted some information right there on the screen. I've just highlighted the word profit for you, and the answer jumped right at you, right? And it jumped right at you. You don't have to really look at I'm going to spend a lot of time looking at this. No, it's not happening. You just looked at the yellow color highlighted words. You just calculated it. The last time I gave you 7 seconds. The second time I've just given you 3 seconds, right? So within 3 seconds, you were able to understand. So I hope you can understand where we are getting at, right? So data and information as per se, they don't give you a lot of information. If you say, I have a lot of information about this, I have a lot of information about some technology, or I have a lot of information about my business, it is not going to help others unless you are able to represent it in a proper format and in a more intuitive visualization format. Okay, that is the crux of it. Let's dive deep into it. I'm going to discuss about this one use case really deep because you need to understand why data visualization is really helpful. Okay, I'll try to be slow also. I'm hearing some of you are not hearing my voice clear, but I'll try to be a little bit slow so that it might sound better. Okay, so first thing, on the first case, I'll tell you what happened. Okay, so our brain, when I said go and find the word profit, our brain had to scan the entire data set, right? There were a lot of columns on it. You had to scan the entire data set, and your brain had to work harder to find the word profit, right? And you know what? Brain, fun fact, right? Our brain doesn't like to work hard. It wants to work smart, right? It doesn't like working hard. It doesn't want to take that stress. So the second example, it was I've just highlighted the exact words that you were looking for, and your brain had to just look at the columns and the colors, and you were able to get the answer. Right? So that's how our brains are programmed. Our brains actually look for a pattern in terms of identifying something. If you want to learn something, it always identifies a pattern. If it's all random and if it's all chaotic, you will not be able to get it as quick as possible. If you represent it in a different way, obviously your brain can easily understand it. So that's the difference. So it's actually called attentive and pre-attentive processing. Okay, so the first example is called the attentive processing, which means you have to look at the screen one by one to understand it. Okay, it's very similar to like how you type without knowing typing, right? You can't use all your fingers you will just look at the keys every time, and then you can still do the typing, but that is attentive typing. But when you learn typing, like if you've learned typing before, you will be using all your fingers, and you will automatically do it out of your muscle memory, and your you just go ahead and do it. Okay, so that's basically the difference between the first example and the second one. So this is what we're going to look at in detail in the upcoming duration. Okay. Okay, so why is it helpful? Why am I giving you a simple example like this and talking about it in detail? Why am I taking this much time in explaining a simple concept? Because this will be the same experience when you actually show some presentation to your customers or to your business stakeholders or whoever it is, right? You have collected some information about your, let's say, about your annual profit and sales report, right? I don't know, like there are a lot of students here as well, but there are also people who are working right now. So they know what is sales and profit summary of. You have to do it for every year. Basically, you have to show how much profit you have made to the management, right? You have to demonstrate something. So you have to prepare some document and you have to give it to it. Okay. So if you don't properly lay out on a format where everybody understands, it might even backfire. Okay, so they might even think, oh, this is not going well, or if it is not going well, but they might think, okay, this is really good, it's going well. Okay, we will see some kind of an example in the next set of slides. But I hope this is clear. I hope you understood what is data visualization and why it is actually very, very important. Right? Let's move on now. Okay, I was talking about attentive and pre-attentive processing, right? And how our brain works, right? So you need to understand the basics. Okay, you need to understand the basics. There are 6 visual traits. Okay, our brain, anytime, take it any different example or any different scenario, our brain will actually look for 6 visual traits. Okay, so these are like the patterns in which you look at something and then understand it and perceive it and process it. Okay, so that is how our brain works, and these are the 6 visual traits. Let's look at them one by one. You can see the orientation. I'll just highlight the orientation here. You can see all of them are stacked on the vertical line, and immediately your brain goes to that one line which is slightly skewed, and it is it is little bit of slanting line, right? Your brain looks at all the orientation lines and it will immediately look at that one point where it is a little bit different. Okay, so why are you doing it? Because everything is same and one part is different, right? So that is called orientation. You can actually make people look at something by just changing the angle a little bit. Okay, so that's a smart way of doing it, but this is also helpful in way in which whether you're designing bar graph versus histogram, right? I hope you understood what is bar graph and histogram, right? Bar graphs are horizontal and histogram is vertical. So you have to know all these techniques to understand why I should choose this one versus why I should choose a pie chart. It's not that simple. Okay, so let's look at the second one, length. Okay, so now look at the length image, and you would also see, first you will see all the 3, then you would see the one that is higher, right? So that is natural, because the one line which is taller means something different. Okay, you immediately look at it and then you focus your eyes on that one line. So that is the length. Length will also give you that perception. Your brain will actually look at something that is longer, and then you will look, your focus will be more on that one. Okay, similarly, it goes with the weight and size. I'm not going to take too much time here. You can see the weight will also denote, okay, this is on the width of it is different, the weight of it is different, the size is different, so it might mean something more, right? All of them are same, and then one of the weight is one line is much bigger, then it means something is actually going on. Whether it's a good thing or bad thing, it depends on the data and information, but your attention to the focus on that particular element, you can actually do that with the weight. Okay, similar to the shape and color also. Shape is like everything is same, but if you change the shape, one piece of shape was changed, your attention goes there. Similarly, for the color, everything is orange here in this case, but one blue line will actually take your spot. Okay, you look at it, right? And then the position. So position in which you're putting the information is also very, very important, because let's say I will look at this image and say, okay, there is something is missing here. Where is it? So I will look at the piece that is missing. I won't be able to look at all the others here. Okay, so that is all it is. So I took this time because I need to show you more examples on visualization. So this is really important. I'll tell you why color, shape, weight, width, and everything is important. Even the position is important, because we are going to jump into that. I hope this is clear. This is how our brain and brain identifies pattern in information. Okay, second question. So to keep it interesting, right? I want to keep it interesting. I want to keep it live. So this is a second question. Just take a look at this image, right? If you read the description, it is very self-explanatory. It is sales by customer, right? On the y-axis, or on the y-axis, you have the names of the people, right? Sheen Miller, Tamara Chan, and then on the right, on the x-axis, you have the sales, right? It's sales. It's not profit. It is sales. So you tell me now, who is the best customer? Okay, out of all these things, tell me who is the best customer. Okay, I can see a lot of answers. Mostly unanimously, everybody is saying, Sheen Miller, SM, and all those things. But if you are experienced enough, and if you are into business, you would understand sales and the best customer is not directly relevant unless you add one more information. You can still be a customer, you can do a lot of sales, but does it really make a company, does a company really care whether how many chairs you're going to sell, how many products you're going to sell? The company doesn't care unless somebody has already said it, profit, right? You have to consider another factor to find out who's the best customer. So who's giving you a lot of profit, right? So that is the question. Now, this is not enough, right? I cannot, just by looking at this, how can I tell this guy is making this profit or who is actually making a loss? I cannot tell. So I'm going to introduce a new information. Let's look at the 6 traits. So just remember the 6 traits. I'm going to refer this throughout the session. Let's look at one of the trait, color, right? I'm going to introduce this. So now look at the second image, right? So I've just sorted it. Red means loss. The more darker it gets or more lighter it gets, the lesser, the more profit it is. Okay, so that is the range. You can also see the range here. So now tell me, who is the best customer? Take your time. There are still several answers, but the unanimous one is Tamara Chan, right? Or whoever it may be Ken also. I don't know. I've not looked at the complete statistics, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from, right? So simply by adding color code to your information, your pre-existing information. Let me go back. Right? So this is your previous information. Now I'm just coming to the same information. Nothing has changed except instead of all uniform colors, I've just introduced profit as a factor, but also given color code in terms of range, right? Now so imagine you're going to present this to your stakeholders, right? Your business or your team leads or your manager or whoever it is, right? Your CEO even. So when they look at it, they'll say, oh, good, Sheen Miller is doing good. Let's give him another 20% offer. No, right? So that's a wrong information. It might backfire, right? It's a completely wrong information. So now if you go with this information, they say, okay, Sheen Miller is doing something wrong, right? He's actually doing something wrong. He's actually pushed a lot of product. He has sold a lot of products, but it is actually going on a negative trend. So something's wrong with this guy. So the CEO or the manager will actually ask a question saying, why is this guy going wrong? Just stop that sale, right? Stop the guy. He's doing something wrong, and then the company is going on loss. So this is how you can actually add a little bit of tweaking to your data, right? And the visualization is completely different. The way people perceive the information is completely changed. Okay, I think this is the second example to emphasize how important visualization is. Okay, let's move on. So now we have understood a whole lot of things, right? So even for people who doesn't know data analytics, even for people who doesn't know what even data is, I've started from basics. Like I started from what is data. I've ventured into information. What is the difference between data and information? Because there is a lot of confusion, and it will cause confusions. And I've also given you like the 6 traits our brain will look at and then find out pattern, right? So I've also given that. So now let's look at what is data visualization. I know you would have already know what is data visualization, and I've also given a screenshot here with a little bit of automation and to represent how visualization has to be or can be, right? So let's talk about the definition. Let's cover the definition part. Visualization is nothing but representing the data and information in a more intuitive fashion, so that the opposite person or whoever is on the other end understands it, perceives it in the way you want, okay, or the actual data you want. Okay, so that is the data visualization. So there are a lot of tools out there that can actually give you this data visualization, and so one of them is the Tableau. Okay, so why do you need data visualization? I think we've already covered that, because our brain will look for pattern, and you need to tweak all this information. Just the boring Excel will not be enough. Okay, so you have to give some intuition to it, and then you need to make it more presentable, right? So that's the use of data visualization. What is the other benefits that you can see? It is easily accessible. It is easily outstanding. I mean, you can actually understand it better, and you can also see the trend, right? You can actually guess. So based on 2020 and based on 2021, what is going to be the next 2022 projection? Okay, I can actually look at how my graph grows. Okay, it may be a profit, it may be a loss, it may be the employee retention rate, it may also be the most famous thing that we are facing right now, COVID trend, right? Like the next wave, whether it is going to come up or not, hopefully not. But if at all it's coming, like how are the government, WHO, they're calculating it? It is all based on trends. It is all based on data, right? Everybody, most of you would have been already vaccinated. If I give you some examples like that, they are collecting data. Okay, every region they're collecting data. How many people are vaccinated? How many cases are reported? And then they are collating it, and then they're finding out, okay, so this is the trend. Okay, so this area is a red zone, this area is an orange zone. How are they calculating it? It's not like pure assumption and pure thing, right? So they have to project it. So when is it going to end? All these things can be done, will be done by data visualization. Okay, for that there are a lot of tools. There are several tools. One of them is Tableau. That's what we're going to see today, which is a very good one. And yeah, there are other tools as well, Biz, and yeah, there are a lot of things. Maybe at the end of the session, if I have time, I can actually show you others as well. Okay, what are we doing right now? Okay, what are we doing right now? Okay, so just look at this Excel. Okay, so do you understand anything? Like, you can understand, but you have to spend some time. Okay, what will I do? If I had to look at this example or this particular Excel, I would look at the columns, right? I would look at the columns, say, okay, there is row ID, there is order ID, there is segment, customer, city, state, zip code. How can I actually perceive this, right? So you have more columns like that, like number of sales, number of addresses and person and all those things. Just by looking at the Excel, it is not presentable. You cannot perceive the actual information at all. You can just say some information is here, some data is here, but it is not something that your brain will easily understand it. Okay, so this is the core data, the raw data, right? Let's look at how this data can be represented so everybody can easily understand. Okay, now look at this, right? This is the same data. I'm not kidding. This is the same exact data created using one of the tools, which is Tableau, and same Excel, just represented in a different way, right? So if you see on the left side, it says sales and profit by customer, right? You can see it is sales and it is the profit, right? You can see some people are at loss and some people are at profit, extreme ends, and most of them are in one particular place, right? So these guys are usually the majority of mass, and this person is the most profitable person, and this person is the person who's actually giving us a lot of trouble. He's actually putting the company on at loss. And just by looking at the image, I'm just talking. Okay? I don't have complete idea about this information. I was just looking at the image and I'm talking. And look at the customer ranking. We just saw this example, a couple of minutes ago. So you see, customer as per se doesn't have any value, right? So it has to be color coded so that you can clearly see, okay, so this guy is the most profitable guy. He's making a lot of sales and then he's also bringing a lot of profit, right? So that is the difference. And if you also look at the top, you can see based on the region, right? It's this data we are going to talk more about. US, the sample data that I've collected is on US, right? So it has regions, Central America, Eastern, Southern, and West, right? So these are the regions, and based on the region, you can see the count of customers. Just by looking at it, I can say the West is the most crowded place, and that is where we should actually start investing more money, right? If I am the business person, if I am the CEO of the company, I would say, okay, look at that. Like, West makes a lot of profit. They make a lot of sales. They also make a lot of profit. Okay, look at Central. Central has a lot of customer compared to South. Sales is also higher, quantity is also higher, but the profit is less. So probably I will not invest more money on Central. I will just invest more on West, Eastern, and Southern. Okay, and if I have more money to spare, I will obviously make the Central also good. But why am I saying this? It's not because I'm biased towards Central. Just by looking at the data as a CEO, I can actually make that decision, right? So this is what a purely representational information would look like. And just by looking at it, you can just spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes at this image and completely understand what this is. Okay, so I see somebody saying my screen is stuck. I'll just swap it just to make sure if it is working. I hope it is working, right? You can still see.
Yes, Sandeep, we can see the graph.
Thanks. Okay, now let's get into the Tableau. So we've covered all the basics part, right? I don't want to take too much time covering the basics, and I don't want to bore you guys as well. You are here to understand what Tableau is. Okay, somebody was asking the Tableau spelling also. You can see it right here. It's called Tableau. I'll also put another slide. There's another slide where you can actually QR scan it and then get it on your phone or something. Okay. Okay, let's look at Tableau. Okay, Tableau, like I said, is a data visualization tool, right? They have a family of products. Usually, any product, right? Like in any good product, people always have a family of product. Why do I say family of product? Let's look at them. Okay, so the first one is desktop, right? It's very similar. I know you most of you might have used Paint, right? MS Paint in Windows, or if you're a Mac user, you might have used something alternative to what is a Paint, a Scribbler, or whatever it is, right? It's a tool, or a Photoshop, for example, right? A Photoshop is a very good example for a desktop application. You have to install it. It is there on your machine. You have to give license and all those things, but let's come to the that part later. But you have your local copy. You can actually take your laptop, anywhere laptop, or your desktop, or iPads, or whatever it is. You can actually carry it with you, even though if you have internet or not, you can actually work on it, right? So that's the advantage of a desktop application, because you don't have to depend on anything else. Okay, now let's come back to this server. So Tableau is actually giving you both desktop application. You can actually install it. You can keep it on your machine. You can work offline as well. Some of the features may not work, but still you can actually play around even if you're at a remote location. Server. Okay, so this is a superb model, meaning this is very customizable for your business, right? So I don't want my business analyst or any employee to have their local copy. Okay, so I'm a company with 200 employees, right? I'm actually doing a lot of data mining, data analytics, and all those things. I don't want my data to be breached. Basically, if you look at the example that we saw here, it's all sensitive information. So don't worry, this is a mock data. These are not real people. Okay, so you can even take screenshots or whatever it is. It's not going to be a problem. So this is a mock data. But imagine what if this is the actual company's sales report. What if somebody takes a screenshot? What if somebody gives it to another competitor company? There are a lot of possibilities where things can go wrong, right? So in those scenarios, Tableau is actually giving you a server, which means you as a company can own the Tableau server. Okay, it will be on a centralized place, which is owned by the company. Nobody else outside of the company can have access. As an employee, I can actually go log in using my credential. I can create something. I can share it within my colleagues, my manager, my reportees, and all those people. But I cannot share it with somebody because that URL is not accessible outside of your premise. Okay, so that way they are ensuring data security, data breaching is also taken care. Okay, so this is for mainly for business and for the commercial, not for commercial, but for the enterprise. All right, let's come back to the public ones. So this is where people mostly use it, right? So public is also another version of Tableau where you can actually publish your analytics. Okay, so I can even actually give you a task. Okay, I don't know whether you can actually take it up. I don't know who you are, which are you working or you're in school or college. I don't know, but you can actually use Tableau. Take all the existing data from government, right? I was talking about COVID. So you still have an Excel data with all this, all the data, right? The region-based count and all those things. There is already a test data available in most of the sites. You can actually go and get it. Just Googling, you can actually get it. You can create a dashboard and you can share it with your friends. Okay, so imagine telling to your parents or your colleagues or your friends, even keep it as your WhatsApp status, saying, see, there was a first wave, second wave, now Omicron, there is another variant called BA2, and then there is something called Delta Cron. A lot of things are coming up, and you can actually show it in a very representational skill, and you can actually project it whether at what period it is going to be on a peak time, on what period you have to be safe. If you want to share it, you can actually share it, make your loved ones, aware of it. So you can do all these things and share it publicly, right? If you do it on a desktop, I can actually have it, take a screenshot and share it. No, it will not work, right? I have to go and search. I will show you in a minute. So you can actually filter a lot of conditions. I can see, okay, in this particular region, what was it? In this particular period, what was the count? It might be down now, but what was it during the June of 2020, right? So all these things you can do if you start using public. So you can actually give it public, but the problem again comes, if it is public, everybody can access it. Everybody can see the data, right? So that's the difference. So why am I taking this time to explain what is the different versions of Tableau? Because this is a paid service, and I don't want for you to jump into something and then pay everything. But there is a community edition also. There are a lot of features that are missing, but you can still pay for it and then get a lot of other features. There are millions of features available on the paid version. I would really recommend you. But if you don't, and if you're saying like, no, I don't use that much, and I just want to use for a simple purpose, you can go for the free version. Okay, so these are all the options that you have right now for if you want to use Tableau. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so I was talking about the URL. Somebody was asking what is Tableau? Can Tableau do predictions? Tableau cannot do predictions. Okay, this is a tool. Photoshop cannot make the picture beautiful, right? Can Photoshop make a picture beautiful? It is actually the user who has to use those tools to make the picture more presentable, right? So that is what Photoshop is. Similarly, Tableau is also the same. So it doesn't do prediction. You have to do prediction. Prediction is nothing but calculation. It's math. linear calculation, regression, and all those things. So I don't know whether we will be able to cover all those things, but I will show you simple examples where you can do the calculations. All right, I think this is good. Let's move on. So let's talk about setup. Okay, let everybody start with desktop version. So that is the easiest option that you have. Tableau actually gives you a 14-day what is it called, 14-day trial version. So you can actually experiment, and then if you want to continue, you can obviously pay it and use it. But if you don't want to use it, also is fine. You can use it for 14 days for free, and then you can learn it, right? So that's the main idea. You want to get familiar with the tool, and if you like it, you can start using the enterprise version. So that's the URL right there. So that is also the barcode right there on the screen. If you want to take a screenshot, or if you want to scan the barcode over and do it, or if you want to type it out, also it's right there. Okay. Let me not take more than 5 minutes to just show you what Tableau site looks like. I'm just going to switch the screen. I'm actually going to the Chrome browser. I hope it is visible for you guys as well. I hope you're seeing the screen. If you're seeing it, just say yes. Okay. Thanks, Aman. I think I can go now. Okay. So don't take screenshots, because it will not be the same. Okay. So Tableau has a very wide variety of developers. They have a very good practice of constantly updating, upgrading. Okay. They even launch different versions every month. Okay. So the ones that you're seeing right now, not just the UI, but also the product, right? You might see a different version tomorrow. Okay, there may be some options may not even be available, or they might have changed it into a different version. So just take it as a reference point. So all you have to do is go to the Tableau version, go to the products, right? So if you see, there are a lot of things, and I was talking about server and public and all, but there is also more and more things that I didn't want to cover. But if you have time, you can go and check all these things. But let's directly jump into the desktop. Right here. So okay, so you're on the desktop, right? So Tableau Desktop, make sure you're on the Tableau Desktop. You can actually click on try it for free, and you can actually download free trial. It's going to ask me some questions, but yeah, you can actually click on it. I'm not going to download it because I've already downloaded it, and I'm just going to cancel it. I'll just show you what it looks like. Sharing the downloads now. Okay, so you will actually get an exe like this. I'm just going to open this. Okay, by the time it takes time to load and all, let's take some of the questions, right? What is the use of Tableau? Exactly what I've been telling you guys from the beginning. It is a tool for visualizing data. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so all you need to do is install anyway. I'm using Windows 11, so it might be different on your OS and things, but don't worry. So this is a wizard navigation, so it's going to be the same. Okay, I've already installed it. I'm not going to go through, but I'll show you how it looks like here. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, so this is a screenshot. Now, when I installed it, I've just taken screenshots. So this is the first step. You will see install anyway. You can go ahead. You will give, you'll be given with the usual terms and conditions. You can go ahead. Then things start. So there are a lot of things that Tableau by default installs. Okay, for example, its own local database, right? MySQL, Postgres, connectors, a lot of things will be downloaded. So since you're using a trial version, you would actually want to give your information right here. Okay, so it will ask you for registration. You have to give that, and then click on start trial now, and that's all. You're done. Okay, so what will happen is you will see something called My Tableau Repository. Once you complete the registration, you would see within the documents, right? My Computer Documents, My Tableau Repository. Okay, so this is what you will see. Let me show what is there on the Tableau repository. Okay, let's go into this. So I see there are a lot of folders, right? Don't be too much worried. So we'll just look at some of them, some of the important ones for today. For example, workbooks, right? So anything that you do, like I was talking about COVID analysis, prediction, a lot of things like that. So if you want to do something, create your own workbook. All your workbooks will be stored here. Okay, so I don't have any workbooks right now, but this is where your workbooks will be stored. Let's look at other things like logs in terms of errors. If you're getting some errors or anything that you have to communicate to the Tableau team, you can actually get their logs from this place. Then comes the extensions. Like I said, Tableau is a very wide community. Everybody starts, I mean, they build a lot of extensions. Today, there may not be a histogram. Tomorrow, there will be histogram. Okay, so it might be developed by me and I would have given it. Okay, some questions. What is the difference between Power BI and Tableau? It's the same, right? Like they are also used for the same purpose. They are also giving a beautiful representation of your data. But comparatively, to be honest, Power BI is still the best in what it does, but Tableau can do much better. And things like calculation, predictions, and all, you can actually do a lot of math and calculations and your custom things, and you can share it. So there are a lot of USPs are there when compared to Power BI, but basically they're both the same. Compare it with apples and I can say like apples and orange, but it's two different varieties of orange. Which one you like, you can actually go it. But Tableau something has a lot of information. I'm not watching for Tableau, but it has a lot of information other than Power BI provides by default. Okay, even the basic versions. Okay, extensions we talked about. Data sources. Okay, data sources I will show you when I open Tableau, because there are a lot of data sources. Okay, and connectors. Connectors are also similar. Connectors are nothing but pieces of logic that can actually connect with external data sources like MongoDB, a lot of things. Postgre, CouchDB, a lot of things like that. Athena, AWS Athena, a lot of databases and connectors are there. Bookmarks, you know what is bookmarks, so you can just go ahead. Okay, data sources, and some of this, we'll come back to this in a minute, but let's move on with the presentation. I just don't want to miss the time also. Just checking the time. All right, I think I'm okay. We did cover all the presentations. Right now, there is no more slide right now. Okay, so this is how our Tableau will look like. This is in case I've just prepared it in case if Tableau is not working. I don't want to disappoint you guys. So if I have a image just to show how Tableau looks like, but this is not the thing. I'm going to show you the real thing. Okay, so now look, these are the agenda that I'm going to cover. Very simple with Tableau. Okay, first I'm going to show you what is Tableau, the components, and all those things I'll be walking through. Then I will also show some use cases, how you can do things, and then finally I can also show how wide and how rich the community is, the Tableau community is. Okay, we'll go through that. Then we will come into the data demo part. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back. I'm going to search Tableau. Okay, so this is the version I'm using. If you look at it, it is 2021.4. Okay, that's the version. Okay, so there may be another version coming up, another one. Okay, so just take care of it. I think somebody also giving other useful information. Please take a look at it. There is a student version as well, which I've not covered. Okay, so since I'm actually using a trial version, it gives me 14 days trial, right? So I'm actually continuing with trial. If you purchase their key, you can actually activate it here. I'm just going to continue with the trial. I'm in the trial period, the honeymoon period. So yeah, I'm good. Okay. For people who already knew Tableau, that's perfectly fine. This is going to be another 5 minutes of Tableau explanation. But people who don't know, just take very close look at whatever things that I'm pointing out. Okay, so I was talking about workbook, right? So this is where the workbooks are. So these are the sample workbooks that I created. I did not make much changes here, but these are the sample ones. And let's look at the left part, which is the most important ones. If you look at a Tableau server, okay, you can still have your desktop version and connect to a Tableau server. Right, so you can still have your local version. You can connect to a Tableau server, which is deployed by the company. Right, your company might give Tableau, and you can actually use the server, which means your files will get stored there. Yes, it will be useful for students as well, because you are doing a lot of things, right? If you are, like I said, COVID is something, it's out of the blue. Nobody asks you to do it, but if you do it, it is actually helpful. Similarly, you can actually learn a lot of things. You try to implement the same thing with your 12th or 11th maths, whatever standards you're in right now, you can actually use it. Okay, it is useful. I'll show you in a minute. Okay. All right. So Tableau server, we were talking about Tableau server. You can actually connect to it. So I don't know if all of you guys are experienced. If you know about GitLab, GitHub, if you are familiar, this will be really similar to that. Is anybody aware of GitHub? Perfect. Yes. So a lot of people were saying yes, exactly the same. So you have your local copy of the code, right? So for people who say no, so you have your local copy of, let's say I'm developing something. Okay, I have a local copy and I want to actually publish it to my friend also. My friend is also working or collaborating with me on the same project. So how do I do it? I use GitHub. It's a centralized repository. I can actually push my changes. My friend will also, merge his changes. I can use his change in a minute. Okay, I don't have to share it via WhatsApp or Skype or anything. So that is exactly like that. Okay, Tableau server. So you have a centralized server. You can make changes. People can actually collaborate on your workbook. They can create sheets and all those things. Okay, so that's it. Let's look at two file. Okay, so you can actually start from scratch using a lot of options. Okay, so you can actually start from an Excel. Okay, I showed you an example. Remember, I showed you an example where I showed you an Excel, which was completely data only, right? I did not even understand just by looking at it. I had to spend a lot of time. Okay, so you can start with that Excel here. Okay, there are a lot more words. If you think data visualized in Excel is worse, think about CSV format. CSV is nothing but a text file, right? So it's a text file which is separated by commas. Okay, every individual data is separated by comma. If you look at it, it's just like one line or multiple lines of data. You will not understand anything. Even if you don't understand Excel, you cannot understand CSV or text file. Okay, but still, Tableau as a tool will give you an option, because there are a lot of legacy projects. People who are still using CSV formats can also do data analytics using this. It's not because they're outdated or they're old or nothing like that, but still there is a business requirement for that, right? So they have text file, JSON. I know most of you might know about JSON format as also, but just want to check if you're familiar with JSON. I'll just move on. Okay. All right. So people are saying yes, perfect. So if you don't know also, it's fine. It's just another representation of data. It's a format of data. Okay, like Excel, like CSV, comma separated values. JSON is something, it's a format in which you can represent data. That's all it is. Okay, you can learn about it later also. Microsoft Access. I don't know if how many people are using Microsoft Access. I don't know, like, I can sense a lot of people are, you guys are really, I don't know how many of you know Microsoft Access. Okay, so we are talking about pre-database era. Okay, so when there was no famous database out there, Microsoft Access used to be database for people. Okay, people used to use Microsoft Access. Okay, so that is it. And I don't know like how many people are using this. Is still a legacy right now. I would call it legacy, but I think a lot of people are using it. That's why they have an option here. PDFs. Obviously, you will get a lot of PDFs, right? Let's do something. You said like, how is it useful for a student, right? Let me tell you, like most of you might have accounts also, right? If you're into a college, or if you're into, I don't know, like a lot of you people might have accounts, or your parents' accounts, right? You can just take 1 year of your transaction. It will be on an Excel format or on a PDF format. You can actually put that data into Tableau and analyze where you are spending more money, whether this is whether you are spending it on food, whether you are spending it on miscellaneous purchases, whether you're doing it unknowingly, whether there there are some leakages on your account, like somebody is actually trying to take money out of it, or any subscription that you don't want, you can actually do that analysis and find it out. Okay, so that's another example where students can actually use it. Okay, that's good. So spatial file, statistical file, I don't want to go into that, but I'll just click more here. There are a lot of options. You can just see the number of options that you see here. Okay, so I'm not going to go in detail. I just want to make sure I'm giving you all the information. Let's talk about the server. So let's say you don't have a file, but you have a database. Let's say you have a database in MySQL or MongoDB, or whatever it is, right? So they have a lot of options. You can see the first famous options are there. Microsoft SQL Server, they call it SQL Server, not SQL. MySQL is there. Oracle Redshift is there. Let me click on more. You can see almost, okay. So Tableau has a wide variety of acceptance. It is like, I can even say anything under the sun. Okay, any database that is under the sun, which means almost all the databases. Okay, if you use something really rare and if you don't find it, it's fine. You can actually migrate it to a different database and use it. Okay, Amazon, yeah. So Amazon has Athena, which is the Microsoft MySQL equivalent. So Google Ads, Google Analytics. Probably most of you might also know about ads and everything, right? How Google makes money and all. So you can actually do analysis based on that data. Okay, how? I'm not going to teach you here. That's going to be a separate session. But today I'm just going to show you like what are the options right there. So you have Spark. Spark is basically for data mining. Postgre, a lot of databases, and I can also see somewhere MariaDB, which is a non-relational database, which is a NoSQL database. You can also see MongoDB right here. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. So any database you think about it, you might have it here. Okay, that's all it is. So let's move on. So I think we have a little bit of time. Okay, let's not cover a lot of things. Okay, let's directly jump into what Tableau can do. Okay, so let me show you something. I said I will show you in a minute, right? So this is the Excel, right? It says sample superstore Excel. I'll just double click on it. It will be there on your machine also. If you install Tableau, it will be there on your machine inside the folder that I pointed out. So look at the Excel. Okay, so it has orders, people, return, right? And orders. Look at it. A lot of columns. I don't know how many columns there are. Probably several columns here. So a lot of data right here. Okay. So I also have a lot of things like shipment mode. Shipment mode, maybe it's like an enum, right? There are only few possibilities of shipment mode. It cannot be like random. It is not a name. And zip code, postal code are also random. So it may or may not be random. Okay. So it might be duplicated, but it's random. Country, it is all static value. Okay, so how would you convert it? If I have to do it, I have to do it manually, like copy paste it, count it, and all those things. You can also write macros here. If you want to argue with me, you can say I can write macros to do this. Obviously, yeah, you can do, but how easy it is? Okay, let me show you now. So that was the Excel. I'm going to open the same Excel right here. Okay, Superstore. It is already there. It's a sample book. Okay, I'm just going to double click on it. Just imagine how good the representation is. That's it. You don't have to do anything. So you just open that Excel in Tableau. Okay. Obviously, since this is a sample, they would have done some pre-formatting and all. But look at how we can actually represent it, right? So that is the beauty I'm talking about. So look at it. So state-wise, if I scroll over it, I can see the tooltip. The tooltip is also having a bar diagram, right? It is also having a bar diagram. So it is a regional representation of the data. Plus, if you hover over it, you can actually see the bar graph. Okay, so this is the beauty of it. Okay, and you can also at the bottom you can see there are a lot of other things like monthly sales, sales by category, all those things. Okay, okay. So you have other tabs. So you can see the products. These are all the products. You can see the sales, products, and all those things. Okay. Okay, so a lot of things like that. I'll just quickly go through them. Too much information. If you have, this is order detail is interesting. So this is just exact data from Excel with a little bit of columns trimmed down to what I need. Okay. Forecast. Somebody said, how is it predicting, right? So this is how it is. It is a purely math. So notice that on some of the columns here on tables, it says equal to. If I zoom in, I can't zoom in right now, but if you look at it, it says equal to, which means this data is not part of the Excel, but you have actually calculated it. Okay, so I can actually right click on this, and so that's the edit, and you can see the date difference, right? So this is a derived value. Anything that says equal to is a derived value. Maybe I can actually take some good example also. Let me just try to find out the okay sales forecast, right? So this is a complex formula. Okay, this is not complex enough, but this is still a complex formula. You can see sales minus churn rate. Churn rate is another derived value, and new business growth is a predicted value. So you're actually adding it, you're multiplying it, and then you're doing some mathematical operation here. Okay, there are two dependencies also. You can see right here. Okay, so this is the calculation part, how you can actually derive some forecasts and all those things. Okay. Let's do something else. Okay, I'm just going to close this. Oh, okay, I'm just going to close this and say no, and close. Okay, so I purposefully did that. Okay, I don't know if you have noticed, I did not even think about it. I was just opening it and I was just running through it. I did that purposefully because I want to show how easy it is. Okay, let me just do this one more time, right? Okay, so what I did, okay, let me do it one more time. I just want you guys to focus on it. So under the saved data source, you have this option, right? Say sample superstore. Under the workbook, you have something called this. Okay, so this is the completed format. This is the raw format. I'm just going to take the raw data. Okay, so if you look at it, it is not formatted at all. I don't have anything. It is very blank, right? I don't have any information here. But what Tableau has done is it was able to understand the number of columns. Okay, it has actually populated orders. Okay, within orders, I have customer name, location. It was able to filter location. Okay, so that's the beauty of it. It was able to filter location based on region, country, state, city, all those things that has automatically added. And then it has also calculated the values of it. Some of the values it has already calculated, like profit, discount, sales, order count, all these things it has taken and it has said like this is a calculated value. All right. So now let me just scroll down. There are a lot of other things like measure names, measure value. We will see that. But let me just do something really crazy. Okay. So let's say I want to create a graph. Okay, I'm going to show you how easy it is. So let me see. So we saw the profit and sales, right? Profit and sales. How is it directly affecting it? So I'm just going to double click profit. Okay, I'm going to single click sales. And if you look at show me, there is this option called show me here. And if you look at this, there are a lot of things that are highlighted. Okay, there are a lot of things that are highlighted, but they are disabled. But Tableau is really beautiful in terms of understanding your data, and it will actually suggest, okay, these are all the representation that you can use for these two information. I cannot go and say I'm going to use a region data because it is within one particular region. So that's why it's not highlighted. It says I can use this graph and just double click on it. You can see I see only one, what is it? One mark, right? They call it mark. Okay, so this is just one mark. How is it useful? It is just profit and sales, right? The total amount of profit and total amount of sales. Where am I sitting? Okay, this is how it is representing. This is not going to help anybody, right? This is not going to help me at all. So now what I will do is I want to see how to get this data based on user. Okay, I will just drag customer name. Please watch this carefully. We will talk about the details in later, but just look at this example for now. I am dragging that customer name to this detail. Okay, did you see what happened? Okay, I can even drop this. Okay, so this is how easy it is. I've just dropped the thing. I've just selected sales and profit here. I'm just going to drop the customer name into the detail section, which means on this graph, I'm just adding more details to it. Okay, I've just added customer name on it, right? So I can also do something crazy. I can actually say color this based on segment. Okay, so I can let me show you the segments here. Okay, so consumer, this is the consumer. There are three types. If you understand the data that we are looking at, there are three types of customers. Okay, three types of customers. There are consumers who are directly buying from the business, corporate offices, and home office. Okay, so these are the three types. So based on segment, you can actually see all of them. Okay, I'm just going to select everybody. So this is the data. Now, let me jump into a different format. Let me show you on the analytics part, right? So let me drag and drop this trend line. I want to see the trend. Okay, how I want to see the trend of how it is actually going. Who's actually giving me more profit? Who's actually giving me loss? I want to see the trend. But just by looking at this scattered image, I'm not able to understand the trend. Okay, but I can still see this Tamara Chand. He's actually giving me a very good profit. Okay, look at the profit. That is 8,000. The sales is 19,000. Okay, he's actually giving. He's at the top of the band, and he's actually doing a very good job. But look, let's look at Sheen Miller, for example. Okay, you guys have guessed it right. Sheen Miller has done 25,000 sales, but he's at a loss of minus $2,000, around $2,000. Okay, so this guy is actually not performing that good. But this is not giving me a trend, right? I want to see a trend, which is actually giving me, which domain is actually giving me the best thing. So where was it? Okay, so I'm just dragging this trend line. So notice immediately after selecting, and I'm just keeping my hold here, right here, you can see add a trend line right there, right? You look at this. Okay, so if you're a mathematical student, you would have learned linear regression, logarithmic, exponential, all these plot points and all you would be doing, right? You are learning graph. You might have learned graph, right? So look at all these graphs that you can generate. You can do it right now. Okay, so I'm just going to click on trend line. That's it. So this has given me a trend, linear trend graph. Okay, so this has given me the linear trend graph. What can I assume? So my profit on the corporate, right? My corporate is actually giving me a very good profit. If the sales number is also good, and the profit range is also good. I can actually, as a CEO now, I can actually look at it and say, okay, I need to focus more on the corporate. They are doing really well. I just need to give a little bit of push there, and then this will go into, this will self-sustain. But look at the consumer. Consumer is still performing better, right? They're still performing. They're not at a loss. You can see the profit. They are not at a loss, but they are not performing as good as the corporate, right? The final guy is the home office. The home office department is the worst. They're doing a lot of sales, but they're not giving me profit. Okay, so that is the problem. This is the trend that actually you can understand. See, if I give you that example or that Excel, just by looking at it, do you think you can actually get this data? Even if I give you 2 days, it's really hard. Okay, so I did this in 2 minutes. Right, so that is the advantage of Tableau. All right, hope that is okay. I just want to quickly check the questions if you want to recommend. Okay, I'm just taking some time to answer the questions. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm actually looking at the time also. I want to show you something really interesting also. Okay, so let's keep this one as a sheet one. Okay, let me quickly show you something else. I want to create a dashboard very similar to what we have seen since. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag the customer names as rows. You can see the customer names, right? So these are all the people who are my customers. Okay, I want to know their profit, how much profit they are bringing. Okay, so the beauty is you can actually do it this way, or you can just drag it. So you see the columns and rows, right? I can actually move to columns. Columns, you can represent the name as a column. If you drag it to the rows, you can actually do it. This is very similar to pivot table in Excel. Okay, if you are familiar with that. Okay, I'm going to put profit here. Okay, you see, immediately I can actually see, okay, the profit is this. It's actually giving me the data, and I can actually move it here. And I can also set some of the values here. Okay, I can say exclude. If I exclude, I won't have a lot of these data. Okay, so this is my sheet 2. Let's create something for sheet 3. Okay, so let me say region. Let me find region here. Within region, right? So region, I'll just put it as a column and put it as a row. Okay, so let me see. I can do this. Yeah, so I'll just show it in a different format. I'm just getting confused with this pop-ups. I can also do this. Okay, I can actually take the names. I can also take the measure values here. Okay, so voila. So there's a beautiful graph that you're looking at based on the region and all the things that you're seeing here right now. Count of people, count of discount, lot of things, right? I don't want count of people, right? People doesn't really give me any information. I don't want discount as well. I just want to look at the profit. Profit ratio is good, quantity is good, sales is also fine. I don't want the returns. Okay, I can just remove it. So I see, like, you know, how easy it is for me to just change something. Okay, now I'll just create dashboard quickly. That is where I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so if you look at this, there is this option called create a new dashboard. I just created it. So you see that all the 3 sheets that you have created, right? So you can actually drag and drop here. Okay, so you can actually do much better. If you just drag here, it will actually automatically align. Okay, so first graph, and then you have the second graph. If you want to put this as a header, you can go ahead. I just need to do it at the right place. Okay, beautiful. But still, it is not that good looking, right? So let me go back to sheet 3. I can actually see, I can say, can hide the title. Okay, I can hide the headers. Now it looks much better, but the numbers are not there. But I can actually click on the labels and say mark labels. Okay, so which means it also gives the data right here. Now, if I go to the dashboard, it is automatically changed. Okay, I did not do anything. It's automatically changed. So I'll just do this, and there you go. So you can also rename it, right? So you can say data by region. You can just do that. You can say sales and profit. Customer by profit. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, so immediately you get a beautiful design. So I did everything by scratch. Okay, so I did that on purpose. If you have a very beautiful Excel like that, if you have a complete data, you can actually do the same thing. If I have, I would have maybe in a different session, or just look out for new sessions on the FutureSkills Prime. There will be detailed sessions that will be coming up on Tableau, data to dashboard. There we will actually dive more deeper. Okay, so this is it. This is the crux of it. I've not covered the entire details. There are a lot of things that I can actually do. There is map and everything. I can't do it right away. So this is just to give you interest on what this tool is, and give you an idea of what this tool is all about. Right. So that is the basic idea. Hope this was helpful. I think we have another 10 minutes. Let's take a few questions. Okay, let me take questions. Okay, I'm just looking at the questions now. I see open questions. Can we do this visualization in Power BI? Yogesh Kumar has asked this question. Yes, Yogesh, you can still do it with Power BI, but there are a lot of things that I've not shown. I've even shown you the number of databases that it supports. Power BI, I really doubt, it is as rich as Tableau, but Power BI is definitely another option. If you don't want to use Tableau, you can obviously use Power BI. It's one of the best. Okay, that's good. I think this is answered, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. Do we need license to view the dashboard made using Tableau? No, so you don't need. So that's why I'm saying, if you are using Tableau Public, and you can actually you can export it as a URL. Okay, you can actually get a URL out of it. You can share the URL to people, and people actually can filter it. Okay, let me just close this one quickly and show you something. Okay, what I'm talking about, right? So what Power BI cannot do, or something like that, right? So you can see it also comes with filters, right? You can say, let me just look at central data. Let me just look at south, right? You see this automatic animation. I hope you're seeing it. So I'll just click west now. So you see it is automatically getting animated. The UI is intuitive. You see the dashboard was beautifully written like that. So I can also change based on profit ratio. See that, right? So it's immediately giving me responses. So that is what business will do. Okay, so when they give you some data, they will ask for some data. You give them back, right? You will represent, this is how the sales pitch is, this is how the projection is, and all those things. But they will ask a simple question. Okay, how many of the customers are male? Okay, they ask that question. Can you make that modification on that presentation? No, you can still do it. On the Power BI, on the Tableau, you can actually go there. You can select male, the gender as one of the criteria, drag and drop it, and then you can find it. Okay, that's the other advantage, the filtering. Okay, so you can actually view it. It will be a HTML format. You don't have to have a license. You can actually you need a license for creating a Tableau workspace and exposing it. You need a license, but for viewing it, I don't think so. Okay, then next question is, would help to know comparative features, various data, visualization tools like Power BI, Excel, Tableau, Google Data Studio. Perfect. It's a very good question, but the problem is time, right? So this session, this bootcamp is specifically designed to give you a high-level idea of what the tools can do, what is data visualization, how important data is, how you can actually represent data. So that was the main agenda, right? There is going to be a detailed session which has all these answers. Okay, so there is a comparative study. There will be studies about Tableau and other tools out there. So you can still do that, but not in this session. Please subscribe to this FutureSkills Prime. You would get notifications, right? Okay, I have found out that Tableau student version is available for free for student. Perfect. I'm not a student, so I don't know, but that is a very good option. I think Stone, Sangma, I don't know if that is a name or a company, but whoever said that, it's perfect. So just to call out, there is a free version for all the students. I think you have to provide some ID card, I guess, but check it out. I think it is free for 1 year, and you can actually use it. Okay, that's a very good option. Thanks for that. What is Zoho Analytics? So, okay, there are a lot of, I'm not going to go into depth. Okay, so I'm not going to say Zoho Analytics is this, Power BI is that. I'm here to talk about data visualization in general, and one of the tool that I'm using is Tableau. Okay, it's not that Tableau is the best tool. It's not like that. No, there are a lot of tools like out there, but what is the most feature rich? I would say Tableau, but Zoho Analytics, I have not seen it, so I cannot comment on it. But there are a lot of tools. It's not just Zoho. Google has their own studio. There are a lot of products out there. You have to see how useful it is for you. But yeah, so that's it. So Zoho Analytics is another one of the tools that you can actually use for the data visualization. But I've not tried it yet. Okay, how does this? If you can recommend first skill to become data analyst, which skill will you recommend? Which plays major role to be recruited as a data analyst? Okay, I may not be the right person. Okay, so I'm telling you, this is because I'm not a purebred data analyst. Okay, I'm more of an architect, right? So I look at a lot of things. So I look at a product, I look at a problem, I provide solutions for it. Okay, so this is one of the problem and one of the solution that I've figured it out. Okay, but I'm not a pure data analyst. But to answer your question, I can actually give you guidance. Take it with a pinch of salt. You need math. Okay, the first skill that you need to know is math. Okay, data is nothing without math. Okay, you need to know math. You need to know what is linear regression, how you can do the plottings. So percentage calculations, there are a lot of calculations that you do. I think I've shown you an example also. If you look at it, like multiple derived values you have to use to get one single index. Let's say profit index, right? You have to use a lot of information you need to know, and math is one of the first skill that I would say. Apart from math, if you want to learn something, if you are into data analytic kind of a thing, you don't need any specific skill, maybe a presentation skill, soft skill. That is what I would say. But I'm not a pure data analyst. I may be or may not be, right in this. But this is my suggestion as a solution architect. I would suggest that. Can we use Tableau to analyze student progress? Yes, obviously, if you have data as an Excel, you can still do it. Next question: how to auto fetch data that is being updated regularly? Very good question. So it is not auto fetch, right? So it is a data source. Okay, don't call it as auto fetch. It's a data source. Let's call it database, right? Every company will have a database where you are storing company, student, or college, school, whatever it is. It's going to store the data in database. That database is always going to be live and it is always going to be updated. It's a living and breathing DB, right? It's a living and breathing document, like kind of a thing. So it's always live, which means you don't have to use your production data. You can just use a replica and bind it with this analytical tool. That's the best practice. Okay, don't ever merge your production data with any of the data sources. It has to be a separate instance. They call it you can call it as a replica. Okay, replica of the same data. When there is an insert happening on the first data, there will be an insert on the second DB as well. You have to use the second DB because if it crashes, your production data is still live. So we can still do that. So you have to use data sources for that. If you want to recommend first skill to become PKK, I think I've answered that already. What is the answer that? Can you tell me what sort of projects we should do for portfolio and resume? Pretty impressive. So I can actually give you some inspirations, right? So I don't know, like, it depends, right? It's a very generic question. I cannot say, okay, take this as an example, you will get a job immediately. No, that's not how it works. That's the reality. I don't want to, false promise. Take something really trending right now. Just take something really doing well, or something that is really people are worried about. They don't have a clear idea about. So you can take those scenarios. I just gave you one example about the upcoming variants of COVID, right? So this is one example because everybody is concerned. Everybody in the planet, every human in the planet right now is really concerned about COVID, and they are also looking at the next wave. Okay, so hopefully it doesn't come. Okay, it shouldn't come, but it will give you an idea. Predict like which month it might go up. Whenever there is a new variant that is figured out, that is identified in South Africa or any of the countries. So how long it might take to come to India, and how it will affect it. By the time we will also be vaccinated and all those things. So if you look at it, you can also predict how the graph is going to be. This is what people are really doing right now. The government people are doing the same thing right now. Okay, so that is one. You can also do something trending, like student database. Obviously, that's one thing. Student progress and all. Take Twitter for example. You can take some nice examples from Twitter. Something that is really trending. You can actually take that data, predict. Okay, so what is the next live thing? Okay, so I'm a blockchain guy. So think about metaverse, blockchain. Okay, NFTs. So these are the areas that people are really confused. They don't know what blockchain is, NFT is. There are a lot of things around it. People misuse them for cryptos and all those things. Okay, don't worry about it. But you can actually give clarity on these pressing issues which people don't have clarity. Okay, if you present that and if you give it on your resume, it will be impressive. Not just that people will notice you, people will also start understanding how deep you can actually go in data. Okay, so that's a really good question, and there is no straight answer. You can actually check for something really pressing and really trending out there right now. I think I've already covered all the questions. So Amrita, is there anything else that we need to take or talk about?
Well, thank you, Adib. I think this was great. It's a great interactive session. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you from my side.
Thank you.